This is Asha Dore with Parley Lit's Totally Biased Reviews.
This episode kicks off our final season of audio-only interviews with authors about their books. Starting in the fall, we'll produce our podcast in audio and video formats, available wherever you watch or listen to your podcast.
My name is Sienna. I am a writer and I am also a translator. I'm based in New York City, and this book, Specimen, is my first book of nonfiction, but I also wrote a novel before and a poetry chapbook. In terms of my translation work, I'm currently focusing mostly on women writers from English to Chinese, which is my mother tongue. And about this book, Specimen, it is a book-length essay that's relatively short. I would say it's a novella-length book that is fundamentally a love story, which was, as it was unfolding, a very sad story to the people who were experiencing it. But I think in retrospect, as I was writing it, I gained some new perspectives, and it becomes this story of much warmth and understanding and true affection. So I guess the key to the love story is really the characters of those two young people, and especially the oddities of those two people. And the young man was one of a kind, and I've never met anyone like that. So writing it was pretty fun too, to just, put myself into that version of myself again.
First of all, I really love these like book length essays or novella kind of nonfiction things. It's really cool. And I guess my first question is, why did you find this form for this story?
I love that question. So I might digress here, but I'm a great fan of the indie press autofocus. And they do these like short books about something that's very intimate, but it resonates with broader audience. And I just love how it's very concise, but at the same time, it tells so much. And when I was writing this initially, I wasn't sure how long it was going to be. I think originally, I always knew this was going to be in a nonfiction format because I wanted to try it out to see what it would look like if I try to be 100% honest with myself, with the history, with the primary sources. And I think it kind of just happened that way organically. Like I realized it was more powerful if we do it in a shorter vignettes like way, and go scene by scene, and there will be jumps in time, but I think in the end it still feels like very much like a fluid reading experience because of it's just jumpy all the way. So it worked for me, and I'm happy with the way I did it. And I really love novella length fiction or nonfiction or any kind of books. It's my favorite. When I think about a short story, I also think about these key moments, and I think everyone does that too. And when I think about, a relationship with someone, I also think about these, scenes and moments. It feels like a vignette, a series of vignettes.
In the book, some people have whole names and some people are just initials. And I wondered if you wanted to speak to why that was.
I think the people who I initialed were the ones I felt, one, more like closer or more intimate, and second, I felt they were the ones who needed more protection about their identity. So there's the aesthetic reason for it, and also there's a more practical reason for it. And as to the people who have full names, they are not their real names, but kind of the names I gave them. Like they would know I was referring to them, but I don't think the other people would.
Do you have any scenes that you are kind of like precious to you, or like your favorite scenes, or any scenes that you had to cut out of the book that you'll probably use for something else that you really like?
My favorite scenes, I think I actually really like those random scenes that don't really have that much to do with the main story. I did this whole vignette about, going to a hair salon in Shanghai. And while it doesn't really say anything about the relationship between the two people, I feel like it says something about the state of mind of the person at the time. And it was fun to write, to focus really on that moment, that place, and to immerse myself back into that. similarly, there were these, vignettes where the narrator, the main character, a version of the older me, traveled somewhere else by herself, and what she did there or saw there. I really loved writing about those scenes because the man in the story is apparently very important to her, but those are the absences of him. And I wanted to explore what that felt like when she was like traveling on her own and when they're really far apart. So those are my favorite scenes. I did delete some of the scenes between me and my mother. Just because it's getting a little bit bigger than the story that I was writing, and I think might be something I wanted to explore more in another different project.
I'm glad that you talked about traveling because it seems like distance is really important, distance and closeness and connection. And I wondered if you wanted to speak about how the physical distance between the characters happens in your book.
When I was writing it, I realized I didn't really think about this for very long, but when I was writing, I realized, yeah, we did actually only meet 4 times in person. And when I was editing the manuscript with my editor, she was very confused because she was like, "So you really only met 4 times in person?" I was like, "Yeah." It was like a whole relationship for 2, 3 years, and it was agonizing. But most of that was, constructed through, text messages. We didn't really video chat that much back then. It was, mostly through written words. So I guess that the fact that it was constructed through those kind of things played into the fantastical aspect of it. It kind of allows you to mystify this relationship a little bit. You can imagine the other person however you like, because you're not going to meet them in person, and the corporeality of the other person will not challenge your own view or your own version of them. So I think that also plays into how, unstable this relationship is because of, people are not what you think they are. You need to constantly allow them to not to challenge you, but allow them to show you who they are and to refine your understanding of them through, constant contact in person. And that is also, I think it helps make the relationship more interesting in a literary way, but it makes it more unworkable to a certain extent.
The book kind of starts with like a kind of doppelganger moment. And there's like a little bit of that kind of reflection, or like, did I see you, someone who looked like you or reminded me of you, kind of like this echo through the book of like a almost doppelganger. I wondered if you wanted to speak about that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. The book started with um, me meeting someone who kind of reminds me of this person I was in love with. And it actually happened in real life. I went to a party and I saw someone, and that person, some aspect of that person reminded me of this guy. And I think the doubling or the doppelganger aspect of it kind of shows just how much we're trying to, or like I am trying to find substitutes in people for the people I've lost. And I noticed myself doing that. It's not conscious, but sometimes I feel like, oh, this person has the same smile or like the same gait or the same way of doing something as someone who was really close to me at one point. And that would lead me to become like instantly feel more I'll feel warmer to that person, the new person that I know nothing about, because secretly I think I felt that there might be some affinities behind these superficial similarities between these two people. And I think in the book, the idea of, I see someone who looked like you resurfaces a lot. And I think to me, I think it signifies, the feeling that there's not yet closure to that story. And I think about that a lot because I don't really always write a story that I feel like is completely closed. There's nothing else I can explore. And this story, out of all the stories I tell myself in my life, is one where I think there are so many mysteries and I haven't fully solved it. And I still haven't after writing this book. And I think that, the doubling the doppelganger thing also signifies that the searching, the seeking of whatever meaning that is behind the whole thing.
What was the publishing process like? It's out with Split Lip.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been following Split Lip because I love their titles and I think they're picking out really cool and bold voices. So yeah, I've been following them. And they do these open reading periods for all kinds of genres. And when I saw that they were doing one for nonfiction and for chapbook, um, at first, I thought my thing would be too long for a chapbook, but then I read their description and it looks like they're taking anything that's under 100 pages. So I submitted it and yeah, they picked me. I didn't expect that because I knew it's supposed to be a very competitive process. So yeah, I was very grateful for their appreciation of the book. And after that, it was just, I think I learned around this time last year. And for the past year, we've just been working on edits and the cover and everything and publicity and things like that. It's really great working with independent presses. All of my books are with independent presses, and I gone through this process of submitting directly to them, and I really love the hands-on type of editing process, and also just the attention you get from working with people who really care about your work and they actually read it. So yeah, it's been a great experience.